Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to Vegas. Today we have Joe Laydon with us, and he is our town manager here in Upton, Mass. Joe, welcome back. Joe, how long have you been our manager now?
May will be 2 years, so it's coming up quickly.
Does it seem longer or shorter?
It seems really short, but the amount of change and activities that have happened over the year seem like it couldn't have happened within a 2-year period. So in some ways it also seems a lot longer than the 22 months that it's been.
Since you have arrived, I've noticed it, and I imagine a lot of people, so much has happened.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, you're a go-getter.
Trying to be.
Yes, I love to watch our cable station, and I was just sharing with Joe. Sometimes I tune in a little later, but I find it relaxing, and I wish half the time I knew what I jump in too late. I'm thinking, what are they talking about? Joe has such a good command of what's going on, and then I can usually get it. Now, Joe, we're going to launch into whatever Joe wants to speak, but I just got a couple of questions, being the low man on the totem pole here. Joe, what have we got going with the Grove Street Bridge? What's the latest on that Grove Street little bitty bridge?
Okay. Thank you as far as just sort of getting back to what you mentioned before about so much going on. There is a lot going on towards the beginning of every Board of Selectmen, now Select Board, that's another change that happened, meeting. I try to give 5 minutes worth of updates, and inevitably turns into 10 minutes. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on within our individual departments. Everything from smaller projects to larger projects, like the replacement of the water line on Fisk, as well as Grove Street Bridge here. So looking at Grove Street, for anyone that has been paying attention to Conservation Commission meetings, our DPW director and our engineer has been in front of them getting final approvals through the Concom for Grove Street. There's one more step that needs to be done, is filing environmental permits with the Army Corps. Once those are finalized and we get those in place, then we're going to actually be able to go out to bid and advertise to try to select a contractor for that project. So by the time we get to summer, we should have a timeline as far as when shovels are going to be in the ground and what the anticipated completion is. And just to remind people, this is essentially going to be a phased project with a pedestrian bridge as well as a separate roadway bridge. The pedestrian bridge will be something that will be able to allow for residents on Grove Street on the other side of the bridge to get to the center and get to the community center and all that stuff, as well as for some of the users of the parking lot that's on this side of the bridge to use that for their business. So
how about the detour part? How will people detour around?
So we will end up pulling together a detour plan. Currently, we haven't finalized that yet. We'll be working with police and fire and DPW to identify that and make sure that signage is put up so that we can get people in and out and realistically communicate out to the public what for people to expect.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a little bridge, and little did a lot of us think that it was going to be a big deal. It's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
It seems like it should be a simple thing, but according to Army Corps, it is navigable, meaning you could put a canoe in it. Now, I don't know how big of a canoe, but it's just big enough that it triggers additional environmental review, which has added some time to the project.
Amazing. Those of you who don't live around here, over here near this building here, we have it's like a stream, isn't it, that runs around underneath there, and a little bitty Grove Street Bridge, and most of us don't think about it, but now we have to be up to code, right? And we're going to have to get that done. Will we talk about it at the May town meeting?
All approvals through town meeting have already taken care of that, and we're also using some federal ARPA funds to supplement it to reduce down the cost for the taxpayers.
Anything new about the Holy Angels Older Church? Uh-oh.
So those who attended special town meeting back in November 2023, town meeting approved repainting the Holy Angels as well as Racine. One of the reasons was we don't want the buildings to deteriorate anymore.
Yeah.
Historical Commission is looking at trying to preserve the stained glass windows, put up new storm windows, and this week we're going to be publishing what's called an expression of interest. And what that will do is allow for the town to advertise and seek proposals from people on potential reuse, trying to keep the building or anything sort of along those lines, as well as the parking lot and the gravel lot next door. This is a pared down process. People may be aware that a year and a half ago we put out a request for proposals, but the requirements that the required documents that needed to be assembled, quite frankly, were very arduous and required people to spend money.
Right.
And without a certainty as far as what the outcome would be, people just didn't want to do that.
Right.
So when we sought feedback on what prevented someone from actually responding to the RFP, they said two things. One, they didn't have a certainty as far as a project that they'd want, whether it would be possible. And the second is the environmental conditions with Center Brook, the associated wetlands and floodplains. That was also another hurdle, and that's something that we are working on in order to get those delineated and go through a pre-permitting process to try to eliminate some of the risk that people may view that property as having. And by doing this expression of interest, we're just looking at ideas.
Yep.
What could the town buy and support without worrying about all this other supplemental material that really should be for down the road? Let us get at the ideas first and see what we could support.
And look at the Ristine building right here. We already have beautiful, the Historical Commission. You ever visit that? Boy, that's really... They have the kids in there, too. They take the children, the school kids in there. And, of course, they got our studio here. And the library used to be downstairs. That looks still pretty in good shape. Are they going to build? They're going to paint this building too?
We got funding to paint the exterior of the building, yes.
And then they've got that new, I used to call it the ramp to nowhere, the door to nowhere. Finally they got the ramp and everywhere. But it's interesting to see what the town wants to do.
And we are on, for this building, town meeting also authorized the select board to lease out the first floor.
Yeah.
So we are developing a RFP to then allow for us to have that first floor leased out, maybe support a local business, while we try to figure out long-term what to do with this building.
That sounds like a great idea. That sounds like a great idea. Help local business, that type of thing. That sounds wonderful. I have a question. Over at our beautiful new Upton Center, I belong to the group of crafters, and we were wondering one day, well, could we use the big room as an events craft? Obviously, the amount we would pay for a table goes to the center. They said, no, we can't do that because the town owns it. And I said, what? It goes to the town. What's that all about?
Not knowing the specifics, I'd encourage you probably to talk with me further about that.
Yeah.
Because community events are, of course, encouraged and supported over there. And things like crafts fairs and all those things. We do have approval processes for that, so we can get a good idea as far as what's the anticipated number of people, hours, making sure it doesn't conflict with library operations. So without getting too far in depth, I'd love to know more as far as maybe what was going on. And we do have processes in place to allow for expanded use. The policy, when the select board approved the policy, the idea was that the building wouldn't be used for commercial purposes. But there's a broad spectrum as far as potential uses, and depending on how that question was phrased, I'd sort of encourage following
because
up.
crafters are very fair, and they know that whatever they pay for their table would go immediately to the center. No problems whatsoever. So people have been asking me, like, what can't, that nice big room, they've had nature activities shown there, and I've enjoyed that a lot. That's really great. So that is something to consider.
And the other thing is, we put together a policy on the building for when it opened up. As now, and we haven't even been in that building for a year. We're still learning. We're still hearing about things that people have for ideas.
Yeah.
And just because we have a policy that maybe doesn't allow something, doesn't mean we can't revisit that policy and come up with different ways to accommodate things.
I love that.
Myself and the select board, want to make sure that we have things in place, and you can't anticipate every single use. So we do have ways that if something really isn't expressly permitted and it's in that gray area, we can try to identify, how to make things happen, or if it means changing the policy, then we can change the policy.
Anything like a win-win situation, I love.
Right.
Win-win for both sides. I mean, how do you lose?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many cool things. I think the senior center is taking off.
Mm-hmm.
They've got stuff over there. I mean, I had a friend of mine say, why don't you go take a look over there? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I picture it as my parents' type of senior center, which
Right.
Even they wouldn't go. But I notice a few things over there, and they don't care really what age you are. Come on over and have some fun, with this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I might just come on over and check you guys out, because I love having friends. And I think it's a great idea, especially when they say loneliness nowadays can be a real killer.
Right.
Really. Now, I saw something on one of our, what was it, the selectmen shows I was watching. What was the $10,000 that went from the Racine Fund over to the recreation? What was that?
So, last year was the first time we actually had, and it was something that was proposed through our Elder and Social Services Department, as well as our Recreation Department, trying to identify ways to help some families in need that maybe couldn't afford kids at play, both to send their kids to programs and to socialize over the summer, as well as trainers, counselors and training program.
Yeah.
And, especially the more I've learned about and experienced Upton and gotten to know more about recreation, their Kids at Play program, it's a unique opportunity that not every town has that type of program.
Yep.
And both departments wanted to come up with an idea, well, how can we maybe support? Because you could have some families that don't have the means, and that summer can be a challenge. They may not be able to work, or they may have to cut back because they need childcare. So came up with this program to support families in need to send their kids to the Kids at Play program. Yeah,
it's wonderful. Yeah.
And so last year was the first time kicked off, so this is second year trying to do that, and to help out families that may need that assistance during the summer.
So how do people get in touch about this? Is wonderful. If you just can't happen before, maybe this year, whatever, to get your kids over to our summer camp at Kiwanis Park. How do they get in touch?
So I'd recommend getting in touch with Maria. She's our recreation director.
She's terrific.
And go on the website, click on recreation. You can find her contact information.
And she's great. Marie, we're going to have her back on. Maria, we're going to have her back on again. She's really cool. She's really great. And don't be shy. Get in touch with her and say, look, we're having a little hard time. We'd love to have our kid get in on the camp over at Camp Kiwanis this summer. And they do they have a lot of CITs, counselors in training, and I watch, because I love that beach is my spa, and I watch the stuff going on. I wish they had it for adults. I really do. And they do a good job, and I think all kids should be included. Really, I mean, I think this is wonderful that our town has stepped up. I think Whitensville did when I was raising my son. I think they had a similar program, Joe, for families who were struggling. And either the kids didn't have to pay much, if at all, but it was wonderful, and it was extremely appreciated. We are talking with Joe Laydon, and he is our town manager here in Upton, Massachusetts. Joe, if they have a question, how can they reach you?
Sure. The easiest way to get in touch with me is by email, jlaydon@uptonma.gov. You can also get my email by visiting the town's website, www.uptonma.gov, or you can always call 508-529-6901 or stop into the office.
Joe, you live in Whitensville.
Yes.
And my gosh, I lived there, practically raised my son. We lived there from 1988, Linwood, till 2006, maybe 2003. A long time. And a lot of good memories. A lot of memories of Whitesville, and I know the area pretty well. They made a whole new elementary school over there, too. They redid that thing.
Yep.
And Wally went there for a while. I remember that, near the village.
Yep.
They really did a good job. Now, your turn. Share with us some of your visions coming up.
Okay, so one of the things I want to let people really know about is we're sort of knee-deep in the fiscal year 25 budget season. What that means is earlier in February I released the town manager's budget recommendation. You can get it. I have a hard copy here, but you can view it by going on the town's website. It's still under news and announcements, or visit the town manager page. What that does is it's a first crack at the fiscal year 25 budget. Looking at our anticipated revenues, it reflects working with our departments to identify what they identify for priorities. Reason why it's a first cut is that the schools, Blackstone Valley Tech, Mendon Upton Regional School District, as well as Norfolk Aggie, those are the 3 educational institutions that are also in our budget. They don't finalize their budgets until mid-March. So we have to first sort of lay out what we sort of think we can afford based on revenues we anticipate, working with departments to assess their needs, also identify what sort of fiscal constraints they're working under. And the town manager's budget recommendation is really that first step as far as really planning for next year's budget. You know, it's sort of odd, 6 months into the FY24 budget, we're already planning for starting July 1st,
That has to
2024.
be so hard to do. I'm not mathematically inclined.
But it's one of the things that you know, it's really important for residents to realize that this resource is out there, because it shows how their tax dollars are work, and we fully understand that, you know, no one likes paying the property tax bills.
No.
Wish it could be a little lower, so we try to be extremely transparent as far as what it gets used for, the officers that it puts on the street, the firefighters, you know, our librarians, our senior center workers, as well as administrative staff. You know, only about 47% of our budget goes to town. Everything else is school and education. So getting a better understanding as far as where we spend the money, that's what this document does, and it goes line by line, so there's a lot of detail. This document will then be reviewed by the select board as well as finance committee. We'll have a series of meetings to get into more detail. Once we get final numbers from the schools, then ultimately finance committee will produce their final budget recommendation that will go in front of town meeting. Another thing that we're sort of knee deep in is the annual town meeting warrant process as well. The
coming
warrant
up in May.
coming
right?
up on May 2nd.
May
That's
2nd.
a Thursday.
That. Okay. I love town
at
meeting.
Nipmuc High School.
Okay.
7 o'clock. So that the town meeting warrant, the board and I are currently going through various iterations, coming up for the next select board meeting on March 5th. We're going to have some of the department heads who have articles, as well as some of the proponents, talk about their articles, you know, that are seeking funding or other approvals by town meeting, and that basically identifies not only everything from approving the budget, but approving everything to a second police car, DPW vehicle. We're looking at doing some repairs to the fire station. We're even looking at replenishing the sand at Kiwanis Beach.
Yes.
Something that hasn't been done in like 12 years.
It's kind of coarse, that sand.
So all these articles get put together on the warrant and get voted on by attendees of town meeting.
Okay, so we're going to get to vote on that sand. Now, I know a lot of the goosies have been doing a little bit better not doing their poop over there. Yeah, definitely. Yep. That was a real point of consternation for a couple of years. I mean, you try to walk down to the water and you're like,
Right. It is a fairly consistent battle trying to control the geese that are down there.
Now, let's back to the camp. If parents want their child to go and they can't afford it, that's fine, and they want to get into that program, do they have to be just from Upton, or could they be from Mendon or Hopedale?
It is specifically for Upton residents.
Okay.
So that is the criteria.
Okay, Mendon. Okay, all right, all righty. We got that straight. But don't be afraid. Get in there and find out about it, because it's a great little camp, and I think our beach is one of the best kept secrets in Massachusetts. It's like a spa. I've been down there recently taking pictures of like the sunset of it, and I can look at that during the winter and go, oh, I want to go. I bought, you're going to think I'm crazy, but you know how some people get big tubes and they get their other stuff? I found this huge alligator raft, Joe. Big thing, and I intend to enjoy it. A blow-up raft, big. I don't care if I look odd out there. I'm going to enjoy it. You should enjoy it. It's our town beach, right? People enjoy kayaks and all kinds of things. What other things are on your mind about we could get done over there this year? What do you think? Everywhere in our town. What
so another, and sort of like the budget where it seems you end and then you start over again. The state is doing essentially the final punch list items for the TIP project, Transportation Improvement Plan project, that was Hartford Ave North, going out Hopkinton Road as well. Now that that's coming to an end, the state wants to develop another TIP project that will basically do 140 from William Street all the way to Millhouse, and then it'll jump over because they just did that section in West Upton, and then pick up and take 140 all the way past Town Hall. Put in the concept right now as a roundabout right here at Town Hall in the center, and then it will actually go just past the community center and VFW, and that's where it will land. It will redo sidewalks. We're looking at 8-foot wide recreation paths to accommodate bicycles as well as walkers within this within this Upton Center area.
Sure.
Still allow for some on-street parking because of the businesses we have right here. And the main thing is to improve safety. So this is going to be another significant project. Last year we had a 25% design hearing. We're waiting on scheduling of the next 75%.
Yeah.
So this means a year from now the state could be finalizing plans and going out to bid, so that sometime in 2025, 2026 they start construction.
We also have a great new van. And we have, shout out to Dave Loper, and what's the name of the other gentleman that drives the van, our town van now, for the senior van?
Yes.
And we have two of them. And Dave
Bruce
Loper is also our Mr. Moderator during our town meetings. He does a great job. I cannot picture any other person doing our town moderator. He is good. He really is a great job. And then I saw him driving that's a nice new van.
Yes.
Why did we finally sell the old one? I saw that hanging around.
We really couldn't even sell it. It was not in drivable condition.
Where'd it go?
We disposed of it.
Okay. Okay. Your little match, right? Yeah, it was. I gotta say that, because after seeing all the other nice ones from other local towns in the past, I'd see ours, I'd be like so embarrassed. Now ours is. It looks. How far does it travel? Does it take people to UMass and Milford Medical?
The bus not only will transport residents from Millhouse as well as Coach Road to the center, so you'll see it doing that loop quite a bit. But also it will transport residents to medical appointments, and that could be Natick, it could be up in Marlborough, it could be in Worcester, basically around the area.
Milford.
Correct.
I'm glad to hear it because there's so many people going out to UMass, to Milford, whatever. I wonder, do they go as far as, let's say, Beth Israel or Boston?
That I'm not sure, but one of the things our Elder and Social Services staff is great at is also assisting with other resources. We do have, through other programs, ways to assist with transportation, because it is a balancing act. That's a large van, and you may have multiple residents that are trying to get appointments in opposite directions, same time. We try to accommodate people as best as possible. But it does highlight that there's a larger transportation need, especially with our seniors.
I love it, and also I love to watch the on the bulletin board. I hope a lot of people watch our cable station because you're going to get a lot of information. The bulletin board tells you where they're going grocery shopping each week. It's really cool. They go as far as there's the new Shrewsbury Market Basket. There's all the different other places that they go shopping. Watch it because you can hop on and go too. I mean, that's pretty cool that you don't have to take your car. If you don't have a car, get on. And you could be with friends and go shopping, and the car will take you and the van and get your stuff done. I think that's awesome. I mean, we've come a long way, and a lot of it's been since you've been with us. You realize that, right?
Thank you very much, but we have a huge team that really helps get all this stuff done. I try to give them as much resources as possible and find ways to support. But we have a great team here. Everyone from police chief to DPW director to our officers to our librarians to everyone in town hall, including our cable studio manager. So we have a great team.
Hey there. I got to live with him. So.
We have a great team, and I think we all really work well together and really try to move the town forward. I really love our emergency personnel. I mean, you call for an ambulance, and they are there. Whether they've got that community one shows up or the Upton one, they will get one of them there right off, and they'll ask you pretty much, where do you want to go? So you get to tell them where, and they'll take you. I've seen Upton up at UMass ER. Yep.
How you doing? They're there. Don't be shy. Tell Joe things. We're going to have Joe back on again. Believe me, periodically we love to have him back on. He keeps us up to date. We got questions for him. He'll answer them. And we'll probably see you again in May at the big town meeting.
Yes.
Don't forget to go vote, okay? You got till tomorrow. Till what time do they close now?
For this week, we're in early voting for the state primary, including voting on Saturday. So I'd recommend getting in touch with the town clerk's office to find out about availability.
Okay.
It's here at Town Hall, and then on the state primary day, March 5th, that's going to be at Nemack High School, where we typically have our elections.
Oh, okay. So,
this is just for early voting right now.
Oh, so I don't have to go tomorrow. I can wait till next March 5th and go to Nemack.
Correct.
It's the same thing, but just... Oh, okay. I thought I had to rush over there tomorrow.
No.
Okay, so wait till Nemack to do it next Tuesday.
Yep. If you want to do it on election day, if anyone is free, looking to sort of get that taken care of, Town Hall is open, and you can go right into the gymnasium and vote. And
don't be shy, because with this type of thing, it's not like the major presidential election where you don't have to tell them whether you want a Republican or a Democratic thing, which I hate to do it, but you got to, for a primary. This one you go in and you say, okay, I want a Democratic or a Republican thing. And somebody had to tell me, Jan, they really don't care. They see a lot of this. They'll just give you what you ask for. It's not like they're invading your privacy, okay? Just do it. And then when the presidential one comes up, they'll just give you the general one, right? And then just go do your thing. So go get out there and do it, right? Thank you for being with us, Joe. We'll have it back on, believe me. We'll see you next time on Be My Guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.